Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei Extras. Today we'll be looking at the second half of the teams for MCC Snow Down, I think is the name of the event. Whatever. The Winter December MCC of 2025. The last MCC of this year, and potentially the last of the season, probably the last of Season 5. The final 5 teams have been announced. The other 5 were already announced. If you want to see those, please check out the previous upload. So let's get into it. First, I posted an image on Twitter. Look, I took a picture with Clown Pierce. We were at a party last night, and it was fun. W. I already met Clown before, but I'm really bad at remembering to take pictures. So here's a picture. Okay. Anyways, first team announcement is Cyan, which consists of Apo Kuna, Avid, Owen, and Scott himself, of course. W team, fairly sure this is a full Vampires SMP team from what I've heard and seen and whatnot. So that's cool. Very cool to have a full SMP team, of course. I have something to say regarding part of this team later. I'll get to that at the end. But very cool to see Oppo be essentially promoted, right, from Pride to what probably is a full roster spot, which is very cool. You'll love to see it. And Avid as well, technically being promoted, has played both Pride and Rivals, but now being in a regular MCC for the first time is very exciting, of course. And then Owen and Scott Classic combo all together makes for a very fun team. Should be a pretty cohesive, good, solid team. Curious to see how they will do. W team indeed. Anyways, next is the Aqua team. The Cerulean Sea Canes. Candy Canes didn't fit. But the Cerulean Candy Canes, which consists of Captain Sparkles, Gracie, Gucky, and Purpled. Fun squadron yet again as well. Purpled and Jordan teaming together for the second time ever. First time they won together, so maybe they'll be able to continue that quote-unquote streak. I guess it's not really a streak. It was like 3 years ago, but you get what I mean. Grace as well being in again for I think the third time now. And Gucky, I think, hasn't been in a little bit. Maybe the last time was Pride. So, fun to see them back, of course. Exciting. Yes, hell yeah. Pretty solid team. Of course, Purpled, one of the better players this event, one of the best players this event. There are a few, like, top-tier players this time around. No Feinberg, no Fruitberries, and also no Shane for this event. So Purpled and Antfrost, who is on the next team, are going to be the 2 best players, statistically speaking, for this event, at least. Very exciting. So, yeah, W team. That's the Aqua team right there. Next up is a fun one. A blue team consisting of 5UP, Antfrost, Steve, Suptic, and Janet X Chocobars. A full team that I did know about. Not that it was going to be in this event, but I did know that Ant and 5UP wanted to run this team for an MCC. Very exciting, of course, to see it actually happen. Steve has only played MCC once before, and Janet has played, but not in a regular event. So it's exciting to see them both make their way into a regular MCC for the first time, of course. 5UP and Ant, a duo we haven't seen in a MCC in a long time, especially ever since 5UP's recent Minecraft skill improvement, you could say. So exciting to see 5UP and Ant team up yet again. This is full like Among Us lobby team, morning lobby team as well, if you want to call it that. And it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really funny. I think it's going to be very high energy. I think they're going to be goofing around quite a lot. And I'm curious to see how Janet and Steve will do with the support of 5UP and Ant as team leaders, because I do think 5UP and Ant are 2 of the better potential team like leaders you could have, or just in general team mates you could have in terms of comms and strategy and whatnot. So together they're a killer duo, and I'm curious to see how this full team will do, all things considered. W. Next is the purple team, the Penguins, which consists of Kara, Shadoon, Eloise, and Harvey. A fun squadron, of course. Shadoon, one of the better MCC players who wasn't in the last event, so it made sense for him to appear this time around. Kara back again as well. Eloise, I think, missed last event too, so it makes sense for her to be back in the mix as well. And Harvey, I think, is back for the third time this year maybe. But last time Harvey played, they won and that's cool. So they're back, coming off of a win. Curious to see how this team will do, all things considered. Harvey did get like top 10 last event, which is, as of recent, not as common, but curious to see if Harvey can pull through with another top 10 performance, maybe this time around, considering the comp at least isn't as top heavy this time around. So maybe it'll be an event for Harvey to get top 10. You never know. I would love to see it. I think it would be really exciting. Anyways, that's the purple team. And last, but certainly not least, is the pink team, which are the presents, consisting of AMZ, Bekyamon, Grian, and Pyroscythe. A very fun squad, and one thing in particular that I really love to see here, aside from just the more unique combination of players, is the structure of this team. It's a team that has, in my opinion, at least how I would look at it, 2 people that are commonly third frags on a team, and 2 people that are commonly second frags on a team, making up for a full team, right? Amy and Becky, I think, are more commonly the third best player on their team, and in this instance, I think they are the third and fourth level player of the team. And then Grian and Jack Parasite, of course, I think are commonly the second best player on their team, and this time around they are the second and first level player on their team. So I think that's quite interesting. Curious to see how that will blend together and how that will lead to a potential high, low, or medium performance from this team. I think it's going to be very interesting and very exciting indeed. Regardless, that's the team announcement so far. In game as well, we can recap them very briefly. 6 people are in a regular MCC for the first time this event. Pangy has played Rivals once and is now in this MCC. Curry has played Rivals twice and is now in this MCC. I think twice, might be 3 times, but I think it's twice, but is now in this MCC, of course. Actually, no, Curry's played Rivals 3 times. Apologies. Curry's played Rivals 3 times, but is now in this MCC. Oppo has played Pride, I think, twice and is now in this MCC. Avid has played Pride once and Rivals once, I think, and is now in this MCC. And then Steve has played Rivals once and is in this MCC. And Janet has played a multitude of events, but never a regular MCC. This is her first one. I have talked about this a little bit. To me, you are not an official MCC player until you play a regular event. And until then, you are in some way, shape, or form a new player to an extent, which is why they're labeled as Emerald blocks, which is the Newcomer block. If you don't want to count that, that's totally fine. I don't care. So, yeah. One thing I do want to talk about is with the reintroduction of 6 of these players, of course, and also how events have gone over the past few events, but also Season 4. It's become kind of clear that the approach, or more so the way people should think about newcomers, might be a little different. Previously, it was mostly expected for newcomers to be brand new players that we hadn't seen before, because with the ever-expanding Minecraft community, a lot of people were in the realm of makes sense to be in MCC, which there's still a lot of people within that realm, but it's a little bit more complicated now because a lot of them are good at the game, which means that we can't, or I say we, it applies to me as well, but generally these players can't be added to something like an MCC kind of recklessly because they're good. So if you add a bunch of good players at once, it makes the event a bit more high comp, sweaty, etc., which can deter some other players from playing. So what actually is happening now is I think a lot of people have been thrown into MCC to play once over the span of Season 4 and Season 5, and as of the past few events have been given a second chance to play to become full roster members. And I think this MCC is a example of that, with people like Curry, like Pangy, like Oppo and like Avid, etc., becoming full roster members for as far as we know, at least. There's still a bunch of people that are exclusive to the special MCCs, right? For example, SK and Sleepy have both played twice, haven't played in a regular MCC yet. Maybe we'll see them debut as full roster members sometime next year. We don't know. There's also Sandwich Lord, who's of course played Rivals twice. Maybe we see Sandwich Lord become a full roster member at some point. Would be exciting, of course. We look at the last year additions, there's people like Jeremy who've played 2 Rivals events. Not an official regular MCC yet. Maybe we'll see Jeremy debut. I'm, of course, someone who played 1 Rivals event. Maybe you can see me at some point join, etc., etc., etc. Examples have been made here, like mentioned. A bunch of people were thrown into MCC one time over the past 2 years, and now at the end of 2025 have been thrown in again, back in, to become full roster members. It's looking like the roster is expanding ever so slowly and ever so slightly, and I think that's very good, very refreshing, because if we look at this event roster, which I don't know if there's a recap image for it yet, there is one, there you go. If we look at this roster, we see a lot of new players or a lot of recent players or something along those lines, right? This red team has 3 people who have not been in MCC for that long. Ish on orange is a relatively new player. You have some teams that have some longer, existing MCC players. I think yellow and lime, for example, have people that have been playing for quite some time. But then again, Phil was someone who was out of MCC for a while and has come back in as of this year, of course. Cam and Curry here are very fresh MCC players. Oppo and Avid here are relatively new. Grace, of course, is a relatively new player. This blue team is like a guest appearance, so I can't fully count that one. And then like Eloise, technically still a relatively new player, I think, for MCC. Same with Shadun, like debatably. And then Pyrocythe, of course, on this pink team is relatively new. Plus Grian, same situation as Phil, was out of MCC for all, is back in now. Very exciting. Same with Amy as well, actually. Very cool, right? So that's the situation. I just wanted to talk about that very briefly because it's very cool to see at the end of the year how things have been approached differently for MCC. And I'm curious to see how that will go for MCC Season 6, probably, at least 2026 for MCC. If they will, or if Scott will use the same approach and introduce people that have played before, or if he will look for brand new additions instead. Or a mix of both, which is kind of what we're still looking at, but especially for this event, we don't have any brand new MCC players, but it still feels fresh because it's past newcomers being brought back. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Those are the teams for MCC Snow Down, taking place on December 13th, I think. Yes, December 13th at probably the regular MCC time, 3 p.m. Eastern, I think, or 8 p.m. GMT. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.